Did that work? Aha! It did work. Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along. We've got another round here today of the International Racing League season. We are here in Australia. The real Formula One cars went around here earlier. And, well, it's the better cars' turn. It's the better drivers' turn here in Australia, here at Albert Park, the Australian Grand Prix. I'm just going to sort out this audio. Here we go. And should have game audio. We do. Wonderful. Good start. Hoping there's no tech issues tonight. I've had a couple of screen freezes over the last couple of weeks. I'm hoping don't have the same thing tonight. But we shall wait and see. You know what EA love to throw us up with. And tell you what, 15 minutes left to go in the session. Some of these drivers are going to start to throw in lap times. Gaming Infinity is one to watch here tonight. Currently, he's been provisionally put in pole position. Ricky, though, has been the quickest one out onto the circuit. And so we shall see the Ferrari's progress as he heads out of Sector 1 and into Sector number 2. He does have a teammate tonight, Sticky Icky. These two consistently teammates. The two teammates, though, who lead the Constructors' Championship are the two cars, Gaming Infinity and Unksu, who are in the Constructors' lead by a considerable margin as round goes Ricky. That is one of the cleanest saves I've ever seen in my life. Incredible save there from Ricky Maru, but that lap has been ruined. TKM heading through the second sector. So is Gaming Infinity. He's now with a purple second sector into the third one. And the driver who is on top of the Constructors himself and Unksu on top. Unksu, to be fair, doing most of the legwork. Gaming Infinity, though, with 12 points. He's going to look to try to perform, try and pick up his first podium of the season as Unksu has 2 in 2. He's the only driver to do so. And he leads the championship by 21 points ahead of TKM in second. Well, in third. Callum's in second, but he's been a traitor. Davey Norris across the line with the 20. Infinity across the line with the 16.7. TKM across the line with a 16.5. So the times already being thrown in are into the 1 minute 16s. Not too bad. Speedy Spud. It's P3. Now, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this guy's name. I'm going to go with Bra for tonight. I'm just hoping that he doesn't talk that much. Or he doesn't do something that much. And I'm hoping I'm going to have to not talk about him that much, if that makes sense. He's heading through the second sector. And he gets a 44.3. Allegedly purple. We shall see where the Williams ends up. He is alone tonight. The two Red Bulls racing. The 2 Aston Martins. The 2 Haas. The 1 McLaren. Davey Norris. Both Ferraris, 1 Williams, 1 Alpine, 1 Kick Sauber, and 1 Racing Bull. So the opportunity for a lot of these drivers to get decent points, as that is Davey Norris moving out of the way, or maybe something to do with Gaming Infinity. Either way, Bra moves up into P number 4. Lone Star is in sector number 2. Unksu. That's not Unksu. There we go. That is Unksu. We are watching on board with the Haas driver as he heads through out of sector number 1, a 26.4 out of the first sector. We know now, because of Bra, that you sort of just want to be, I believe, in the 44s out of the second sector. I could be completely wrong. But I think that's what it was. Unksu's going to come up to it. I think I'm going to be about right here. 43.9 for Unksu. Allegedly, again, purple. We shall wait and see. His teammate currently sits on the front row. Weirdly enough, he wants to displace him. ARL, in the meantime, went up into P number 3. 3 thousandths of a second off of Gaming Infinity and 3 thousandths of a second off of the front row. Although, it's not on the front row anymore. Lone Star, 16.0, 5 tenths faster, or 4.5 tenths faster than TKM. What can Unksu do? Our championship leader. He's sat on the podium not once, but twice. He's won a race so far this season, and he goes onto the front row, 16.1. So just that little bit behind Lone Star. And those two at the moment, the pace setters, 4 tenths between Unksu and TKM. Sticky Icky looking to try to get up there. His teammate had a spin and ended up with a 17.3 after his first run. But it was one of the most clean saves I've ever seen. And so that explains why he's only down by just over a second. Sticky Icky heading through the second sector, 44.1. He's 2 tenths off Unksu, and he's going to try to find some time in this final sector. But he's invalidated in the chicane. And so time will not be found. Ricky's not on a lap. Bra won't be on a lap. ARL definitely not on a lap. Gaming Infinity almost certainly not on a lap, considering he's in the pit lane. TKM, the next driver, he's going to be on his out lap. And Unksu and Lone Star, I'm expecting them to come into the pits. Lone Star does, and Unksu will do as well. He's heading through the final sector. MCH out on circuit for the second time. At the moment, he's in with the 17.8. As everybody is quicker at this point in time than Davey Norris. The only drivers that aren't are those who haven't set laps. Alpha Alex, JSC Nutter, Sticky and Luke Racer. We got yellow flags out for a... Is that an RB? Yes, it is. TKM in sector number 2, moving out of the way. So no concerns there. Good evening to those of you in chat. Hello. Yes, hello. I sounded like I had something else to say. I didn't. Hello. TKM will come around the final corner and will start his lap around the Albert Park circuit, and we'll see where he can go at the moment. He sits in 3rd place, but if he can find 0.4 of a second, he can close up to Unksu, and onto that front row is where he's going to go. That's the target, as that is in Sector 1, a Ferrari round. And so TKM's going to have to be very nervy, as that is, I believe, yeah, is Ricky. Struggling for traction at the moment. He went round at the start of Sector 1, just out of the first corner, and so he has abandoned that lap. TKM, though, will come through the second sector, and he's made his way through pretty cleanly. He will come up to that second sector, and we can see whether he's improved in that first sector. It is going to be a 26.5, so not quite an improvement, but enough to set a very strong springboard for him to climb up onto. He's going to get to the 3rd DRS zone of this lap. Yes, there are 3. There's another one coming up as well, and TKM is heading through down to the chicane. We've seen laps invalidated. Here's TKM not improving again. He's 0.8 of a second down, but coming out of the chicane, throwing everything into there, and he's come out the other side of it, looking for something strong, looking for a good lap time, and that commitment into the chicane will certainly go a long way in helping that. His teammate currently sits in P9, that is MCH. He is with a 17.8, the team of acronyms, as TKM comes into the pits. He was not improving, and he did not feel as though he was going to improve. Speedy Spud's heading through the first sector there. And he's 0.3 up on his time. Is the Aston Martin. As MCH comes up to the line, he's improved by half a second. He's improved by another 10th, and he's up into 7th. There's still a 4/10 gap between himself and 6th place that he's going to try to now bridge. Speedy Spud improving by a 10.5. Alpha Alex heading through the first sector. He's setting a good lap time as well as it stands. We're going to switch back to Speedy Spud, though, because he will be the next one to set a lap. He's got 2 more braking zones to go. Or 3, technically, depending on how gutsy you can be. Speedy Spud now has 1 braking zone, 2 corners to go, and the number 12 Aston Martin will be hoping to go up there nearing the top. He was improving in the first 2 sectors. At the moment, he's projected to go up to P7, as there's my first screen freeze of the evening. Hope that doesn't happen anymore. 17 dead for Speedy Spud, and he moves into P7. His teammate Alpha Alex will come around the final corner. He's set to 44.5 in the second sector, so about 0.4 off of Unksu. And he goes with a 17.2, so just off his teammate in 8th place. JSC Nutter up to the line, 17.9. He goes ahead of Davey Norris, but slowest off the competitive run. Sticky Icky has not set a lap time yet, as that's yellow flags out in Sector 1 once again. Believe that might be TKM's huge slide for Sticky Icky. But the Ferraris, Drift Kings tonight, and what a save that was. But he's going to come into the pits, and he's going to prepare himself to go once more. Looking to see if anybody else is on a push lap. Gaming Infinity has invalidated, so he's not. Somebody was on an outlet. That was Davey Norris, who jumps up into P3, and that is a strong lap time from the McLaren. Really was what he wanted to see, and the sole McLaren in this race tonight, jumping up to the second row of this grid. Yeah, everybody just... I thought I moved them out of the way. That's what I muted for, but never mind. Bra is coming around the last couple of corners. He's going to come into the pit. 6 minutes left on the session. TKM coming out. So is Ricky. And no, actually, Bra is going to continue on. Is this a timed lap? Or is he preparing for one? Or will a slide out of the final corner certainly won't help him if he is indeed preparing for one. And I think he is with a 21.3 across the line. We will see whether Williams stacks up against his previous times and against the rest of the field. But into the 1 minute 16s appears to be the target at this point in time. And opening the DRS. The second time already on this lap. And he's only gone through 2 corners. He's trying to go as quickly as he possibly can. And he's doing that pretty successfully at the moment. 16.8. One of 7 drivers into the 1 minute 16s. He's improving as well by almost 0.2 of a second, the Williams. And at the moment, he would jump up already into P number 5. He's going to want to improve on that. And TKM and Davy Norris will be the next target to pick off. He's going to want to be 0.3 faster in that second sector. Is he able to do so? No, he's not. He's still halfway off of that as Luke Racer sets his first lap. He's in 5th place with a 16.7. But Bra is still set to displace him there if he's able to hook up this final sector. He was quicker in the first sector, slower in the second, and he will come around the final couple of corners in the 3rd sector. And we shall see where the Williams stacks up against the rest of the field. 16.8 is where he is. It's close between 5th and 7th. There's just 0.03 of a second in it. Bra looking to hopefully get up ahead of that. And he does indeed. 16.9. Or no, he doesn't even improve. He was ahead of his previous lap, but a poor final sector means that he does not improve upon his time. TKM, heading through that first sector. He's going to want to push and get close to that front row. 16.3 at the moment, just about is what he is on. He will head through at the end of the first sector, and we will see whether this outlap or this push lap is competitive. Up to the line it is, and it's not. It's an in-lap, I believe, from TK and Luke Racer, not on a competitive time lap. Gaming Infinity, is he on a competitive timed lap? Just about, well, he's 600ths down. So, although he is on a competitive lap, he might not be on a competitive lap, if you get what I'm saying. If you catch my drift. Gaming Infinity hoping that he doesn't have to hold a drift as he heads through sector number 2. Is he improving? He is minorly. He's improving by 1/4 of a tenth, which of course means 0.025 seconds is what the Haas driver is improving by around the final couple of corners. As his yellow flag's out, driver's trying to get out of the way. Believe that is TKM watching out the way of one of the blue cars. I believe it's Bra, as Gaming Infinity going for a slide in that penultimate corner. And I think that is his lap gone. Indeed it is. He's going to come into the pits. 3 minute 14 left in the session. One more time. What? Whoa. Time for one more lap for all of these drivers. Bra and Ricky Maru already out on the circuit. Ricky with a 16.2. When did he slot that one in? Sticky with a 16.1. So the times are coming down here, but I don't think there's enough time for at least this Ferrari Sticky Icky to get an improved lap time. Ricky Maru coming into the pits. He has decided that he is not going to... he's decided to come into the pits for one more time. It's going to be close for Sticky Icky. If he can get back out in time, then that almost signifies that he has not prepared properly. And so he will not be prepared for that final run, as drivers are now coming out of the pits, led by one of the only Mercedes in this race, the pole man at the moment, Lone Star, leading the field in both the timing board and also coming out of the pits, followed by Unsu, followed by Davy Norris. That was the 1-2-3 at some point, but the 2 Ferraris and the Red Bull just came in to split them. Everybody else at the moment sitting in the pits, but it won't last long, as Luke Racer, ARL both come out of those pits. Speedy Spud comes out as well. Everybody is just trickling out of the pit lane with 1 minute 50 left to go in the session. They are preparing themselves for that final run, that so crucial run, and we're on board with Sticky Icky, as we're hoping that he's going to be able to get around with enough time for one more lap. But hope is probably the furthest that will go, as he comes in now. 1 minute 30 left. He's not going to do that next bit in 16 seconds. So that is the end of that. Lone Star at the moment sitting on that pole position. We will focus our attention on Davy Norris sitting in P6. But he has that well, he's going to get that lap time. And I think he's going to be pretty set in terms of the next race. He's got 5/10 to improve by as Bra retires. And there's no sign of JC Nutter as well. Sticky Icky's in the pits. I'm sure he's going to retire. But now we have most of the drivers into the 16s. Pressures on both the Aston Martins, MCH and JSC to see if they can do the same thing. Davey Norris comes around the final corner. Mistakes on his lap. He will not want to replicate them, as he is one of the quickest drivers probably in this league. But he just needs to show it more often as he opens up the DRS. Just full throttle pedal to the metal for the McLaren. And he heads through, trying to get the braking right, the turning right, and the exit right as well. Difficult balance to strike, but he's done just that so far. He will head out of the first sector, and he will hopefully see an improvement. He can see what he's done so far, and now we can see that he's improved by just 0.016 seconds. So the McLaren, not a great start to the lap, but he's not backed out of it. He's not down. He is actually up on his time, and if he has made those mistakes in sectors 2 or 3, that means he will be fighting for that pole position. Checkered flag is out. Davey Norris not improving. Sticky Icky and JSC Nutter staying in the pit lane will not be improving. MCH retiring from the session as well. Believe he's either crashed or decided to retire at turn number 1. So not what he would have wanted to see. Is up to the line now. Come the next couple of drives. Lone Star 15.7 and he's putting on a clinic. Ungsu also 15.7 but 6/10 behind. And so he will be starting in second on that front row, but not where he would have wanted to be. Davey Norris up to the line, 16.2, so does find time, but not quite enough. Ricky Maru heading through the second sector. He's improving by a 10th and some change. ARL will come around the final corner. The Alpine is going to try to improve on a 16.7. It's going to be a 16.2 as he heads across the line. Speedy Spud into the 16s as well. So is, well, Alpha Alex will go in there. Ricky 16.2. Can he improve upon that lap time? The answer is yes. He can take himself up to P3. An incredibly strong lap from Ricky Moreau. Alpha Alex coming into the pits after improving by half a second. And that is your grid for the Australian Grand Prix. Lone Star. Not quite alone, but he is right up the very top. Confirmation then that Lone Star takes that pole position away from Ungsu. Both setting much quicker lap times than the rest of the field. Ricky, 2/10, almost exactly 2/10 back, the Norwegian driver. Then it's Luke Racer, Sticky Icky, Davey Norris, ARL, TKM, Gaming Infinity, and Speedy Spud rounding out the top 10 with Bra, Alpha Alex, MCH, and JSC Nutter rounding out the field. Nike Esnek, aka Davey Norris, coming to the chat saying he lost about 4/10 there. Well, I thought you were going to be right up the very top in the battle for that pole position. Alas, it was not to be. And at the end of the day, you ended up in P number 4, I believe, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to... Well, that's Briar's. That's not helpful right now. All you can see is my desktop. What? Huh? I'm not sure why. Because I can see the game. What? Hang on. Duplicate. That should fix it. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't notice that. There you go. Sorted. Sorted. Now there's no other problems. Thank you for letting me know, but still not 100% sure why that occurred. But yeah, I mean, I say there's always tech issues in a Cockcast stream. I do not mean that lightly. I mean, there is always a tech issue, and today that appears to be the main one. I don't want to jinx it, but I think we've been doing okay so far. Now that I've said that, we won't. But hey, my bad. Yeah, so what happened was I've disconnected my second monitor to try and connect it to my Xbox to try and get in the lobby that way, and it's not worked, and it desynced all of my monitors. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Mr. Davy Norris, could you get me in? Would that be all right? I will ping you as well. But if you could invite the other Cockcasts, that would be absolutely incredible. And I would back you to win for today. That's the trade-off. I'm backing you to win if you invite me now. We should be sitting here for a while, by the way. We should be happy just doing this. If you can invite my Xbox One, that would be wonderful as well. I'm trying to think, who else have I got added? I've got Floyd Pink, which isn't particularly helpful because he's out having fun. Or we're all sat here on our F1 game on our screens. Ricky's got me. Sent, beautiful. I haven't received it. Oh, have you? Weird, because I've got you on here. And that's not my Steam one. I mean, it's not the end of the world if I can't get it in. Just that it would make my life easier. I can't add myself for some unknown reason. Right. We're going to going for the 5 lights for the Australian Grand Prix. It's lights. And it's action here in Albert Park. Nutter gets a drive-through penalty straight away. And that is not what he would have wanted to see with a jump start. There's a driver going off. That was a Ferrari off in the background. Going over the gravel. Unsu takes the lead of this race. Lone Star drops all the way down to P3. Could be P4 with Luke Racer down the inside. Is he going to make that move? Not quite. And it's around the outside for Lone Star, who stays ahead. It's a virtual safety car for MCH. And so the race momentarily gets neutralised. There's a crash somewhere. JSC... Around goes Ricky. Around goes ARL. Around goes Bra. Absolute carnage early on. And are we having a restart? We're doing a restart. I got excited there. Ah, well. Ah, well. In that case, I shall send us to an intermission screen while I try to sort this out. Because it's probably not a good view. Why is it? Have I got no viewers all of a sudden? Ah, well. That is the case. That is the case. Welcome back. Welcome back to the stream. I was unsuccessful in swapping. But there we go. It is what it is, and I mean, I do apologise in advance if there are any screen freezes. If there aren't any screen freezes, happy days. I believe everybody is back in. Indeed, they are, and we're getting ready for lights out here in Australia. It'll be straight to the lights out in Australia, and well, what a race we have in store. Formula 3 was the warm-up for Formula 2. Formula 2 was the warm-up for Formula 1. And Formula 1 was the warm-up for the International Racing League to get underway very, very shortly. And there is one thing for sure, that it is that I'm sure we'll get a lot more action here in the International Racing League. It's going to be a bit more chaotic, I think, than the real-life F1 Grand Prix. And that's the beauty of the format. That's the beauty of some of these drivers. You never quite know what they're going to do. In F1, you know that they're just going to wait. There's 58 laps. Let's wait, let's wait, let's wait. No, it's nothing like that. We've got half of the race here today. And so we shall see where we end up as we head to lights out. I think prediction for the race. I think Davy Norris is going to be right up there. I think Unsu, of course, is going to be right up there. Unsu, of course, our championship leader as well. But I'm hoping Lone Star, just so we can have a little bit more of a title battle. But also, he's a very quick driver, and I'm expecting him to be right up the very, very top. It'll be medium hard or hard medium here. The softs will not last for long enough, I would argue. And I'm pretty sure I'd be right in saying. But we're going to head to lights out very shortly. And then we shall see as the 29 laps of the Australian Grand Prix are about to get underway. I think it's 29 laps. I want to say because 58 laps divided by 2 is 29. Right, I'm still communicating with online services, by the way. It is what it is. It's a shame it's a shame it's the way it is. Hopefully next season we will have a better one. I'm affiliated with, or I am a part of a group of creators who are affiliated with EA, so there's only so much I can say, but all I can say is I hope that 2025 will be a better game, and I think everybody's ready, everybody's good, and we're ready to get going to the 5 red lights for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's action here around Albert Park. Lone Star gets off to a strong start. Unsu appears to have gotten a better launch as that is JC Nutter straight into the wall and around, losing part of his front wing. Lone Star holds the lead into turn number 1 this time, and he's gotten through with some success. Further back, there's a bit more scrapping involving both the Aston Martins as that's a send to the inside for MCH. Can he get that move done? Unsu, in the meantime, making his way through to the lead as that is Lone Star going round and into the wall goes the Mercedes. Off goes the front wing, and our pole sitter is now out of this race. Unsu and Ricky are now the two in the battle for the lead of the race. Davy Norris and Ricky's teammate Icky are fighting for P4. Davy Norris makes his way through into said P4, and now he's got his sights set on Luke Racer, while Sticky's going to have to look behind at ARL, who's going to go around the outside into the chicane. Who's going to come out on top? As that is PRS TKM running wide. That is Speedy Spud, I believe, off in the background into the gravel trap and dropping down the order. Indeed it is. And not what he would have wanted to see. We've got 3 drivers who had a poor first lap. And out of the end of said first lap, it's going to be Unsu who leads in this race. Luke Racer almost out of the DRS. May well be out of the DRS as the first detection point is down the end of this straight. Ricky and Unsu are going to try to be pushing to try and make it just a 2-car battle. Unsu fastest lap of the race. Luke Racer 1.2 seconds behind as they head through the DRS detection zone. So Luke Racer will not get that DRS and he will come under pressure straight away from Davy Norris. Davy Norris is going to look maybe to overtake right here. Not quite. Sitting behind. There's a gap of 0.86 seconds back to ARL. So it is unlikely that he's going to be able to pressure in the next couple of laps. JSC and Lone Star, of course, into the pits with that damage. Speedy Spud does not have such issues. He did not pick up any damage. And so he's actually caught back up right to the back of the pack. So fair play to him, running off the circuit and rejoining in P13. Sticky Icky trying to go for a move around the outside, maybe switching to the inside of the chicane. It's all up to the Ferrari as to where he goes as Luke Racer cedes the position to Davy Norris for P3. Ashtube is now 1.6 seconds behind Gaming Infinity, the driver, who's trying to get back into the DRS of TKM ahead. So there's already DRS gaps being built. There's already little groups starting to be formed. And the lead group, as we head into lap 3, is Unksu and Ricky. There's yellow flags. MCH having issues as he lost a bit of his front wing. It doesn't appear so. He's just had a simple spin. And I think a lot of the drivers are going to fall foul of that. Ricky fastest lap, P1. Good lap for the number 47. And he moves into the race lead ahead of the number 48. Unksu dropping behind. And with that DRS as well, Ricky is going to try to assert that position. And these two are just going to try to fight away. 1.9 seconds back to Davy Norris. Sorry, 1.9 seconds back to Luke Racer, who's just made that move and has gotten through into P3 in the McLaren. Not a bad start then from the McLaren, but 2.5 seconds, a big gap up towards Ricky Moreau and Unksu, who've just been able to build up that gap, and they're going to continue to try to build that gap as we head through this race. Luke Racer is going to try to fight back against Davy Norris in the meantime, as Sticky Icky and ARL behind are side-by-side. It's those two in front that are side-by-side, and the two behind that are side-by-side. Noah's Ark is happening here at Down Under, and Luke Racer through to P3, Sticky Icky through to P number 5, and Atsu as well getting through on ARL. I'm glad that his name change has come into effect. TKM to the inside of ARL as well, and he makes his way into P number 7, and ARL trying to fight it back around the outside. He's got that superior grip, but he runs off the circuit, and they're still going to try to fight. TKM getting through Ricky and Unksu. 0.5 seconds between the two. 2.3 seconds between them and Luke Racer, and that gap is coming down. If they fight anymore, it's going to come down even further. And that is when they will come under pressure. At the moment, though, they are looking pretty comfortable up in first and second. And third is looking a bit more contentious. Davy Norris shaping up moves on Luke Racer, but not making them stick for the moment. Lap 4 of this Australian Grand Prix. Round 3 of your International Racing League season. And Ricky Moreau leads after pole sitter Lone Star span around and lost his front wing. We're now watching the battle between the two Aston Martins. It's the first of many penalties this afternoon. Has been handed out. Sticky Icky 3 seconds. He's in 5th at the moment. Unksu makes his way past Ricky, and they're going to continue to try and work together to try and climb back up. So are Davy Norris and Luke Racer. They're now 2.7 seconds behind. Not ideal. ARL getting past TKM. He's trying to stay within the DRS of Atsu. He's done it on this occasion, and he is just going to try to hold on to it with TKM fighting behind Sticky Icky, right behind Luke Racer. Might be the next driver to make a move. Shaping it up to the inside, not going for it, and holding a line astern behind Luke Racer as they head out of the final corner. Slide for Davy Norris. Opportunity for Luke Racer. He doesn't take it, and that means that his exit is compromised. Sticky, who will try to pull to the inside. Davy Norris pulling so far to the inside to break the slipstream, and it's worked for the McLaren as Luke Racer tries to hold it the long way around the outside. Can he make the move? No, he can't, and that means his exit is compromised. On the exit, through goes Sticky Icky. Through goes Atsu as well. They're 3 wide. Atsu smartly backs out of it. Sticky Icky runs wide and loses that position to Atsu, maybe even to ARL as they head through. ARL doesn't make that move. TKM tries to make it on ARL. He can't, and it's a little bit chaotic here in this battle for P number 3 at the moment. 3 down to 10th, all within the same segment of track. And they're going to continue to fight as much as they possibly can. It's all gloves off here. Down Under. And Luke Racer and Davy Norris side by side. Once again, DRS is really helping this battle continue. And Luke Racer swooping around the outside of Davy Norris into the chicane. Davy Norris trying to keep it on track and makes contact with Atsu. And Atsu that just makes it through regardless. ARL tries to hold it on the outside line. Davy Norris blocks him off. Not even sure if that was intentional. But regardless, he blocked him off. as he's desperately trying to hold position ahead of Atsu. He's been successful, and the McLaren holds on there. TKM and ARL side by side. ARL's exit is compromised. Through goes Gaming Infinity. The Alpine dropping back down to P number 9. Not what he would have wanted to see. I'm going to have a look at the tyres as Gaming Infinity on the hard. So is Speedy Spartan Lone Star. Everybody else on the mediums. So it's level pegging, equal fighting here in Australia. And at the moment, there is still fights going on as they're not letting each other slide. Davey Norris holding the inside line. Atsu trying to take the outside unsuccessfully, and he falls back behind. A momentary breather then in Sector 1, but it's all about to kick off once again when they get back to the DRS range of Sector 2. Luke Racer, though, has broken DRS to Davey Norris behind. Does the McLaren have it as they cross the detection line? The answer is no. So he's going to come under pressure from Atsu. Luke Racer picked up a 3-second. I think in the long term, that is worth it, because now he's broken that DRS. That is worth so much more than 3 seconds if he's able to seal it on the next couple of laps. It will be difficult, though, with 4 DRS zones. It is difficult to break away. Sikiiki trying to hold the outside on Davey Norris. Davey shutting the door. And so the McLaren stays in P5. Just behind Gaming Infinity. Looks maybe to shape up a move on TKM. Does not work. And so he stays behind. Atsu has made it back within that DRS range of Luke Racer. So all in all, not quite worth it for the VCARB. And he will be reeled back in by Atsu. Davey Norris pulling to the inside. Just to break that slipstream once again on Sikiiki. It's a consistent attempt at defending. Is the McLaren's defence at the moment? Is the McLaren swooping across the circuit? And yeah, it's working at the moment. I'd say he'd want to be in P3 with Atsu and Luke Racer making their way past him. But at this point in time, just being behind these two and being behind not by much isn't a bad plan. He is, though, losing time down to 7/10 behind. And so maybe, just maybe, this is the opportunity for the drivers ahead to break out of that DRS. It worked for Luke Racer last lap. He's been reeled back in by Atsu down to 0.3 of a second. But the breaking free, if it's successful, is so, so, so powerful. As now that's Gaming Infinity shaping up a move on TKM, making it in the inside line. But just the stronger curbing they've got there. It's much sharper than it has been in previous years. Means that he sits behind TKM, though, sacrificing the position. Could be losing to ARL as well. Taking the racing line, but a slide on the exit opens up the door as Ricky moves past Unksu once again into P1. And those two will continue to fight for the race lead. Atsu and Luke Racer now fighting for P3. Atsu made his way through, but a slide on the exit drops him 3 positions. In the meantime, Gaming Infinity and TKM, their scrapping means they've dropped out of the DRS. So that is a huge moment in this race as this group, 3rd to 6th, is able to break away as much as they possibly physically can. And Luke Racer, 3-second to his name, which is not what he would have wanted to see, but holding that P3, that is what he would have wanted to see. And I think he will be vaguely happy with that occurrence. They are trying to close back in to the VCARB. They are smelling blood, especially Davey Norris without that DRS. Or without that penalty, sorry. He does have that DRS, but Sticky, he's sensing that he needs to make it past Davey Norris, and he's going to hold that inside line as they head into the tight corner. The corner that's been tightened up over the last few years. And in the end, he sits just behind Atsu. Big lock-up for Davey Norris in that final corner. Atsu is right behind Sikiiki, but the DRS has been broken once again. Gaming Infinity is back into it. ARL comes into the pits. We'll see if that is for damage as he heads down the pit lane. Alpine weren't expecting him. It's not for damage, it's a regulation pit stop. And he switches onto the hards, and he's going to try and take them the last 20 laps of this race right to the very end. At the moment, though, this is a story with the top two, Ricky and Unksu. Incredible stuff right up the very top. Davey hasn't quite had the pace over the last few laps to keep up with Luke Racer, but he's not doing badly to stay within 5/10. Sticky and Atsu desperate to get past. Gaming Infinity now back into that DRS, and game is now certainly on with those hards getting better, and the mediums being at the crossover point. And the top two, I think they're just going to try and match their strategies to each other. So if Unksu dives in, you'll be seeing Ricky dive in on this lap. As the undercut was triggered by ARL. We'll see if that comes off. It's generally pretty strong, but the tyre wear is also pretty strong. So while he will get track position, he will also struggle with said wear. Are either of them going to come into the pits? No. I'm sure though we'll be seeing at least one person from this train come into the pits. 4th down to 11th, surely. Just the odds would suggest they would, but the actions would suggest otherwise, and they're going to stay out. ARL going for at least a 2-lap undercut at the moment. It's a gamble, but whether it's going to pay off is another question. Davy Norris and Sticky Icky into the first corner, going side by side. Ricky getting past Unksu in the braking zone, and he's up into P1. Unksu dropping down into P2, but I think at the moment these two are very, very happy to stay exactly where they are, especially with the carnage going on behind. They'll be happy to have avoided this. And Atsu making his way into P6. He's going to try and fight even more forward, as that is TKM trying to look for a move back around the outside of Ashtube. Ashtube, though, making his way into P8. And Unksu retaking the lead of this race. We're a third of the way through this one here in Australia. And it's a race that hasn't really had an opportunity to settle down, with all the drivers in the middle battling. But the top two have certainly done just that, and they're going to continue to try to do exactly that across the next 2/3. They don't mind just sitting out in front for a very long time for the remainder of this race. If that is what is needed, they will just sit out and continue to build that gap. It's now up to 8.2 seconds. They're happy with that, and they will continue to be happy with that. Into the pits comes TKM. I said they were going to come in last lap. They came in on this occasion. It's a switch onto the hards for the rest of the race. Is it damage for TKM? Didn't look like it. Certainly didn't look like it. As what's happened to Atsu. Something's happened in turn number 1 to the Williams, and he has dropped down. No damage incurred. So an interesting... something interesting happening there to the Williams. Not 100% sure what. He's 1.2 seconds off of Alpha Alex, aka not in that DRS range. Gaming Infinity 3 seconds. And they are going to continue to creep in those 3-second time penalties. Sticky Icky and Davy Norris both picking one up. Atsu becoming the latest to take one back to the Williams camp as he desperately tries to make it back within that DRS of Alpha Alex. Unlikely, though, that he's going to be able to do that, as Speedy Spud's going to go for a move around the outside of Ashtube, switching to the inside of the chicane. Ashtube runs wide. That hands the momentum to Speedy Spud, who gets through. It's side by side further up. Uncle Lando, a.k.a. Davy Norris, and Sticky Icky still fighting away. Gaming Infinity trying to get involved as well. Sticky Icky having a poor exit. Davy Norris making his way through. Gaming Infinity trying to hold on to P5 at the moment, as into the pits comes Davy Norris and Luke Racer. But these 5 will continue to scrap on. Gaming Infinity holding that lead. Sticky Icky alongside. Ashtube's going to make it 3 wide into turn number 1. As that is Gaming Infinity trying to pull out of that move. Sticky Icky pulling ahead into P3. Which means that these drivers feel as though they've got more license to fight. As that's Gaming Infinity trying to make it 3 wide. Sending it to the inside of Speedy Spot. Maybe even Ashtube as well. The Haas driver still trying to hold the outside line on the better tyre at this point in the race, but sitting just behind. He's going to have to find and force another opportunity, and at the moment he's just sitting in P number 5. The DRS will be available down this sort of curved section of the racetrack, and that means that he's going to try to close back in and get past Ashtube. Once again, Ashtube getting his elbows out, getting feisty here in Australia, and at the moment he's holding on to P4 from the last position on the grid. So fair play to him. He's managed to fight his way up, and he's going to continue to try to fight his way up to the inside of Sticky Icky and making it stick on Icky. Excuse the pun. As he makes his way through the final sector. It's the 2 Aston Martin swapping positions. Speedy Spud on the hard compounded tyre. Unksu getting past Ricky. Into the pits comes Sticky Icky and Alpha Alex. They'll be switching onto the hards. Regulation stopped surely for the 2 of them, as, well, Icky in the first place struggles to get it stopped. No front wing change for either of the drivers, and they're both out of the race, or they're both back out into the race. All A-OK. We shall see as they come out of the pits. Where they come out, they're behind Luke Racer and TKM. They are behind Davy Norris as well. So a huge moment possibly in this race. I do apologise for the yawns. I have no idea where that's coming from. A huge moment in this race possibly for these drivers as Davy Norris comes out on top. And while they warm up their tyres, they're going to try to get back into that DRS. So it really is crunch time for Sticky Icky and Alpha Alex. If they can get that first lap done, okay, then I'm sure they'll be fine. But at the moment, they are just going to continue through. We've got Ashubatsu, Ricky and Unksu who need to come into the pits. Are they going to come in on this occasion, on this circuit round? Ricky is. He baits Unksu into thinking he was going to stay out, and in comes Ricky Maru. Unksu will go on for one more lap, and that was a smart play from Ricky Maru, just to make it run as long as he possibly could, keep up the ruse that he was going to stay out, and then dive in. TK makes his way past Luke Racer. Sticky Icky gets past Davy Norris into P number 10. As well, Gaming Infinity, Ashtube and Atsu coming in as well. Gaming Infinity, interesting one to come into the pits, but he was all hurt. Out of the exit of the final corner, Alpha Alex tries to make that move on Davy Norris. Can he hold it into turn number 1? Yes, he can. It's going to be complicated with Atsu coming out of the pits and Ashtube as well. They've come through it A-OK. They're all without damage. Alpha Alex continuing to try to fight with Gaming Infinity, who's on the set of the medium compounded tyre as he came out of the pits. Those tyres will be nice and cold. Alpha Alex's will be a bit toasty by now as he's warmed them up over the last lap. And this is a very close fight. Gaming Infinity, though, has warmed them up enough. He holds P number 7. Just trying to make sure that all of my audio sounds absolutely fine. I'm fingers crossed that it does. I've had a play around today, and it seems to be okay. Alpha Alex right behind Gaming Infinity. Are we going to see a move into the chicane? Yes, we are, but it's not going to be by Alpha Alex. It's going to be by Davy Norris around the outside, sweeping through. Alpha Alex allows him the position, breaking his momentum, and Sticky tried to take advantage, but just got a little bit too eager and then went a little bit too tentative and stayed behind now under pressure from Ashtube, who makes his way through, and the RB is up into P10. Unksu comes into the pits, switches onto the hard compound tyre. This moment in the race could define the entire thing, as out comes Ricky ahead of Unksu. Unksu, is he still in DRS? No. The overcutters worked for, or the undercutters worked for Ricky Maru, who's come out of the pits on that previous lap. And what an undercut it was, 1.7 seconds ahead of the Haas. I'm expecting him now to romp away to the victory. There's yellow flags out for Lone Star, who's back once again into the wall. And that one lap pace was there. The racecraft not quite, and he drops behind MCH. And he'll have to come back into the pits if he thinks that missing end plate is unmanageable for the sole Mercedes in this race. Of course, not scoring points at the moment as we head through the halfway point of this race. But anything can happen, and anything, I'm sure, will indeed happen. As well, the main train now is for P number 7, with Gaming Infinity 4 seconds off Loot Racer, TKM and ARL. The undercutters just seeming to make that strategy work at the moment, all apart from Unksu. Or no, all apart from... No, they've all made it work. What am I waffling about? All apart from MCH is what I meant to say. But I panic. There's contact. There's carnage. Davy Norris trying to be a moving chicane, something like that. He's dropped behind. There's no damage incurred for any of these drivers, but an interesting moment there as Davy Norris just losing the rear and dropping down to P number 12. Not what he would have wanted to see, not in any way, shape or form. Looking further up then at Ricky, who's made it within the DRS of Speedy Spud. And he's going to try to get past him as soon as he possibly can. Just closing in with that DRS. He's got DRS, then the chicane, then DRS. As Lone Star retired in the pit lane. And fair play to the man. You'd understand why with all that pace that he had. TKM 3 second. Ricky gets around the outside of Speedy Spud into the chicane. And he's into the lead of this race. 2.6 second gap between first and third, which is of course when Speedy comes into the pit. First and second between Ricky and Unksu. Running wide goes Ricky, so that's surely a warning on the exit. But he's absolutely fine, and he's going to head into lap number 17 in control of the pace. in this race. TKM right behind Loop Racer. This is probably the closest battle on this grid at the moment. Fastest lap for Ricky as TKM tries to shape up a move on the exit of Loop Racer, getting that move done, and the Red Bull moves past the V-Cub into P number 5. Of course, both with penalties now. TKM picking his up on that previous lap, that previous circuit of this circuit. Atsu now making his way past Ash Tube. This is going to be a horrible battle to commentate on if they continue to battle for a long time. In comes Alpha Alex into the fight. But he hasn't quite got that grip around the outside, switching to the inside line. Could reap rewards, but a slide on the exit means that it's going to be Ash Tube through. It's going to be Davey Norris through as well on Alpha Alex. And it's gone just that little bit wrong for the Aston Martin, who was attempting to make his way up to P10. He now finds himself in P12 and with a 3-second time penalty to boot. Unksu makes his way past Speedy Spud into P2. And Ricky, I think, has been held up a little bit by the fight with the Aston Martin. 1.6 seconds now, as opposed to the 2 point whatever seconds it was before. And he's closing in as Speedy Spud becomes the last driver to come into the pits in this race. And, well, Unksu fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He is bearing down on Ricky, ARL, in P3 at the moment. 5 seconds off of these two. Unlikely to be a name in circulation for the race victory today. So is Speedy Spud, who himself just offered an opportunity to hold up Ricky and Unksu, but didn't quite execute it as well as he would have wanted. And so just drops now. He's going to come out of the pits in P10, but fighting with Ash Tube side by side on the exits between the two drivers. And they're going to continue to be side by side. Alpha Alex sending it, but that means Ash Tube gets the grip, and he gets past Davey Norris as well. What a move that is. Alpha Alex finding his way through as well. They're both past Davey Norris, and Ash Tube making his way past two drivers within the space of just 2 corners. Yellow flags out for MCH in Sector 1. Is that a safety car, or is that just A-OK? It's going to be A-OK'd by the stewards, as Ricky has once again been reeled in by Unksu into that DRS range. And Unksu now will continue that fight forward and will try to claim that P1 spot. 11 laps ago in this Grand Prix, and it's all heating up. Around the final couple of corners, Ash Tube holds on to P8 ahead of Alpha Alex, but for how much longer? The straight will beckon. The fact that he's close, that he's sniffing, that he's seeing that rear wing means that he can try to fight through. Can he? Can he? Can he? Not quite. And he will stay behind Ash Tube for now. 4.4 seconds between Ash Tube and Sticky Icky, and it really is the battle for P in number 8. Down the inside goes Alpha Alex, making that move stick nice and simply. Ash Tube doesn't offer too much of a fight. He knows at the moment, at least, that this is not his fight to happen. As more yellow flags out, this time for Atsu in Sector 1. And, well, he's really been cost by some sort of damage in that top group early on. And Atsu now in P number 12. Lots of work to do. Around the outside goes Ash Tube into the chicane, getting back past Alpha Alex. And P8 is where the V-Carb is going to sit. 4.5 seconds now separates him and Sticky Icky. It's side by side between the two Aston Martins behind Speedy Spud on the brand new set of the medium compounded tyre. Makes his way through into P number 9. So not bad coming from him. And they're going to continue to fight for this P8 spot, currently held by Ash Tube. These 4 cars, the closest battle on the field at the moment, although you could argue that it's Unksu or Ricky, or you could argue that it's Loot Racer and TKM. There's lots of little individual battles going on here as Loot Racer pulls to the inside line, gets through on TKM into 3rd place. That is a podium so far. Well, no, it's not. Into P4. Embarrassing, that one. I can't count, clearly. Well, they should invite the 4th person to the podium. They do invite a 4th person to the podium. It's just team personnel. Unksu back past Ricky, and P1 is what he takes. We're over now, a third of the way through this race. And they are going to continue to fight away. Speedy Spud with those mediums, demonstrating how speedy he is and how he can use these tyres to full effect, getting past Ashtube into P8. Ashtube not having the pace to try to fight back, and he will on the exit get DRS and try to regain that place. Will Ashtube, that Gaming Infinity and Sticky swapping positions. Sticky holding on at P6 ahead of Gaming Infinity, 5 seconds behind TKM at the moment. It's going to be a difficult bridge to break down, especially with the pace of those earlier on. Even now in this fight, the penalty situation, TKM has 6, so at the moment he will drop behind Sticky Icky. But with Sticky Icky's penalty applied, actually no, he won't. He needs 3 more seconds in order to drop behind in the championship, or drop behind in the final race positions. We shall see, but at the moment it's looking pretty comfy for some of these drivers. Don't get me wrong, for some, absolutely not comfortable. Take, for example, Speedy Spud, Ashtube, Alpha Alex, Davey Norris, and Davey Norris, down to him. Those 4 drivers are in the middle of nowhere, but they are all clumped together, 3.3 seconds forward to Gaming Infinity, 8.8 back to Atsu. Behind Atsu, in the meantime, who gets a 3-second time penalty. TKM makes his way past Loop Racer, and P3 is hit. David Norris, 3-second penalty. That's going to cost him positions at the end of this race. He was looking clean and maybe to get past Alpha Alex and Atsu, but a 3-second time penalty has really put pay to that. He's going to try to recover from that within the next few laps. The top 2 very close together are Uksu and Ricky Maru. And they've been so close together all race long. Real testament to them as there's yellow flags out. Down the straight, Davey Norris. What is going on? He's pulled over to the side. Cut the corner. Am I seeing a little bit of brake pedal issues going on? I think I may well be. Working again? Well, speaking of something happening again, Ricky going through into P number 1, lapping JSC, who, to be fair, has continued on in the meantime. He holds on to it. Lap 22 then of 29 in this Grand Prix, and Ricky Maru holds on to it as Nutter finally backs out of this race. And fair enough. I mean, it's going to be so difficult in terms of a race for him to hold. Ricky holding on to P1 at the moment. And Sticky and Gaming Infinity trying to scrap away. Then it's Speedy Spud, Ashtube, and Alpha Alex. A 3-car battle for what is currently P number 8. We shall see as Jersey Nutter does leave said session, and that is really truly his race done. Not been his day either for Nutter, as Davey Norris retires from this session. Not been his day either. Disappointing stuff for both of them. Gaming Infinity 3 seconds as well, jumping up to 6. And he will drop now behind Speedy Spud, unless though he's gotten back past Gaming Infinity he's gotten back past Sticky Icky into P number 6, and the Ferrari makes his way through. Sticky Icky trying to find his way back, cannot do so. In the meantime, Ashtube has made it past and out of the Aston Martin sandwich. The ham has become alive, and he's gotten past the potato. I don't know where the ham analogy came from, yeah, is what it is. I mean, sometimes I'll come out with things like that. You will get to know that throughout the course of the season as TKM goes up to 9 seconds now worth of penalties. They continue on onto lap 24 of this Grand Prix. They continue with their individual battles, Sticky getting back past Gaming Infinity with the DRS. DRS may be helping both the Aston Martins, but not quite yet. And they will continue fighting throughout to lap number 29. Because, of course, points are points. Of course. That's a Buxtonism, that is. If I've ever heard one. Points are points, and you want to fight for points. And they are certainly fighting for points at the moment. Speedy Spud around the outside of Ash Tube. Alpha Alex trying to do exactly the same thing around the outside, but can't quite do so. And just sits in behind. It's back to the Aston Martin sandwich. Ash Tube, the ham, has been trapped once again. And he will stay there for the time being. Could be seeing a switch for the lead of the race. Maybe not, as these two have now built the gap up to 11 seconds on lap 25 of this Grand Prix. And it cannot be understated how strong of a race they have had. Because even though they have worked together, they've just done so well. To break away from the rest of the field, they've got to show the pace to break away from the rest of the field. And that's exactly what they have done. And the Ferrari and the Haas will be taking a very easy 1 and 2 unless there's any mistakes dragged out of them in the final couple of corners. I don't think there will be. And we'll see. As we head on to lap 25, lap 26 will be Sunuk Su retakes the lead of this Australian Grand Prix and hopes and prays that he holds onto that position. I believe that he's likely to do so if he can just hold on to that DRS, as that is Loot Racer past TKM. Not been very happy with Alpha Alex in the chat I'm seeing. Or no, Alpha Alex being asked to report something in the chat. And that led to Davey Norris's DNF. Yeah, not sure who it was. 3 wide, sends it to the inside. Possibly Ash Tube, maybe. Not sure. That one will be decided in the steward's room. And that one is probably going to be the headline of this Australian Grand Prix, as we've had our individual battles going on. At the moment, Sticky Icky, Gaming Infinity, Speedy Spud. Well, actually, Speedy Spud and that little group has caught up to Sticky Icky. So that's one group combined for P6. Loot Racer and TKM close together for P4. ARL in a world of his own, 3 seconds ahead of Loot Racer, 12 seconds behind Ricky, and then Ricky and Untsu in a world of their own as well. Lap 26 of this Grand Prix. It's very split field. And, well, Gaming Infinity's dropped back out of that DRS. He's going to try to make it back in. And a late charge, P6 could be on for Speedy Spud, Ash Tube and Alpha Alex. They're going to pressure the Haas driver, especially with that DRS and Speedy Spud around the outside. Doesn't even need the chicane to know that he makes that move. And he also makes it into DRS of Sticky Icky once again. Ash Tube makes his way past Gaming Infinity. That is driver in the wall, Atsu, not Ash Tube, into the wall in sector number 2. And not been his day either. Lots of penalties, lots of incidents, and he drops now back to dead last in this field behind MCH, who's done well to keep going, despite the fact he has 25-second deficit. TK makes his way past Loot Racer with the DRS. It's just DRS games at the moment. They're not trying to make those moves. We will see them make those moves within the next couple of laps of this Grand Prix, but at the moment they are just sitting where they are, and they're going to continue to sit where they are until maybe the last lap, maybe the final lap. We shall see. Atsu and MCH having a little scrap for glory. Gaming Infinity tried to get back past, but with the DRS Loot Racer with that advantage. And so he will try now to break away, to break through and ahead of that DRS all on his own. Ash Tube right behind Speedy Spud. Could be sending it to the inside line. Speedy Spud could be sending it to the inside line of Icky, and he's gone through. Ash Tube chancing a move, but not in the end sending it to the inside. And he stays in behind. They are comfy in where they are at the moment, and they're going to try now to make it past Icky down the main straight. Alpha Alex and Gaming Infinity will fight now for P9 and 10. Gaming Infinity, very disappointed, I think he will be, but those mediums falling off. It is about that time where those hards do become better at the end of the race, if they've been able to maintain them properly. I believe they have been able to maintain them properly as Alpha Alex makes his way past Gaming Infinity. Gaming Infinity sending it to the inside, somehow holding onto the position. But a switch back from Alpha Alex means that the Aston Martin gets through into P number 9 once again. DRS has been broken though between him and Ashtube, and he's going to try to make it back into that DRS and make it back into range. Otherwise, this is just a battle for 2 and 1 points, which is more than nothing, but not as much as 4, 6, or 8, which is what they would have been fighting for, which is what is being contested with Sticky Icky around the outside of Speedy Spud into the hairpin, tucking back in, trying to force a mistake out of the Aston Martin, unsuccessful, and actually forcing a mistake out of himself. Taking a poor line out of the exit of the chicane means that he doesn't get the momentum, and through goes Ashtube. 3 seconds more for Atsu down the bottom of the field as he tries to fight with MCH. Sticky Icky losing that position to Ashtube, who's now going to try to take P6 off of Speedy Spud. This is the main battle as we head on to the last lap of this Grand Prix, as this is the main battle. The other one is the main battle in terms of exciting. This one is the battle for the race lead, so of course we shall focus on Ricky's chase and pursuit of Unksu with 2 DRS straights to go. This is exactly where he would have wanted to sit as they crossed the detection point. It is exactly where he did sit as they crossed the detection point, as Ricky Maru now has 2 DRS straights to make his move and to make his way up into P number 1. A purple second sector after all this time will spell the fact that he is pushing, and he now pulls to the outside line of Unksu. How hard can the Haas fight back? Quite hard, in fact. Off the circuit goes Ricky. Unksu, though, cannot hold momentum enough, and it's going to be a send into the final corner. You would think from Unksu to try and hold position. There's contact between the two. Who gets the better exit? It's down to that as to who will win this Grand Prix. It's DRS for Unksu, and I think he's just going to snatch this one away from the hands of Ricky by under 1/10 of a second. It's the Haas taking victory here today in Australia. It's going to be P3 for ARL. It was such a close fight between Unksu and Ricky Maru all race long. In the end, the Haas taking his 2nd victory of the season and extending that championship lead. Loot Racer P4, TKM P5, but with penalties all applying, we shall see where he drops down to. It's all the way down the bottom of this battle, as that is Ashtube P5, Speedy Spud P6, Alpha Alex P7, Sticky Icky P8, and then Gaming Infinity, and then TKM P9 with all those penalties. Atsu will come home P11, but with those penalties of his own, 12 seconds worth, he will drop past MCH and will be the final points finisher. But Unksu in the end taking that victory, and well, strong race. Good call to undercut in the chat, says AJLS, aka the driver that finished in P3, that being ARL, who came from nearer the back after the first stint and ended up taking that P3. Turn it around from that P7. Not half a bad. Close but no cigar for Ricky Maru from taking that victory away from Unksu. But it is indeed his first podium of the season, and he now doubles his points tally and takes P2 in the drivers' standings. Unksu, though, will build up that gap. It was on 41. It shall now be on 67 as he heads to the next round of the season. The next round of the season, we've gone from Australia, which is the track that we had in real life. We are now heading to the next track that we will have in real life. That being the Shanghai International Circuit. And what a race we have in line around that circuit. If the last couple of weeks is anything to go by, because although that race may have seemed a little bit more, it seemed to have a little bit more of a lull. I mean, a photo finish. You can't argue with that. But yes, all the chats are coming in about AJLS, aka ARL, taking that P3 from P7 in the standings. And well, that is that race done. We shall head to next week with a wild card. It's an exclamation mark on the calendar. We shall find out what that exclamation mark means next time out. But until that next time out, until next Sunday, although some of you who race on Friday, until next Sunday or Friday, I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.